Good afternoon, Good Shepherd. It is Wednesday, January 13th, the feast of Saint Hilary of Poitiers, about whom I'll have something to say in a few minutes. I do have a few announcements, certainly, and I will leave those until the end. But I want to begin with some words about Hilary. Hilary was a bishop of Poitiers in the 4th century CE, AD. And but he was born into a pagan household, pagan parents and pagan schooling. Um, Very bright young man, well educated. And he began to understand a little bit about Christianity and converted and was baptized when he was about 30 years of age. And within 5 years, his faith had become so profound, but also so apparent to the folks in Poitiers that they enticed him to become a bishop. So here he is, a bishop at age 35. Pretty amazing. Even now, our bishops are not that young. But he was captivated by Christianity and became an author and theologian of pretty great renown. He was named, certainly long after his death, a doctor of the church. What he was known for, and I'm not going to get into a lot of theology here, but he was known for his orthodox teaching on the doctrine of the Trinity. And it was that teaching that put him into conflict with the emperor at that time, Constantius, who, for political and probably some theological reasons, was a supporter of Arianism, another theological, well, at least it became called a heresy, but certainly was not within the mainstream of Christian thinking at that time. And Hilary really opposed this imperial theology. And for that, he was exiled for 3 years. He was sent from France to Phrygia, which is in Asia Minor, for exile. When he was finally let out, the government tried to get him to align himself with some sort of softer level heretics. And Hilary refused, stayed Orthodox until his death. He's remembered as a confessor, somebody who suffered for their faith but did not die. And so he's in that line of sort of martyrs, confessors. He's also known for a bunch of hymns, one of which is in our hymnal. It's a hymn for Pentecost that we don't sing very often. But so he was a man of great faith, but also of great influence. And that piece for which he's best known was his refusal to allow his theology to bend to the winds of power. That's an ongoing theme throughout Christianity. Will your faith, will your commitment to Christ, will your commitment to Christianity stand up to the winds of power or the winds of convenience, all of those kinds of things. And Hilary, we remember for saying no to all of that. He was a staunch supporter of those Christians who stood up for their faith and a staunch opponent of those who would allow it to be watered down. And so he's one of the saints that we may talk about a little bit more on Sunday mornings when I continue with my class on those who bore the light in their generation. But he is one example of what that might look like. A saint who is remembered not because he was killed, but because of his orthodox teaching. And there are certainly other reasons for why people would be declared saints. And we'll continue to explore those. So you could consider this midweek moment sort of as an expanded commercial for the Faith Forum on Sundays, but also as an example of why we do remember some of the saints in our calendar. A few, really just a few notes, sort of announcement kinds of things. The first is that, as you'll see in the e-news, and as I mentioned last Sunday, annual meeting is coming up in a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks, and we will run it via Zoom, as I think you probably would guess. And because we'll be doing the annual meeting from Zoom, a number of things will be different. The annual reports will all be online. We'll try and make some allowance for folks who need them printed, but the annual reports will be online. We will run all of our voting and everything like that in a different way because of the Zoom link. So one of the things that we will need to do, and you'll see this in the e-news, is we need people to register so that votes can be taken by individuals, not by households or by Zoom screens. So just be aware that you will see a notice about that in the e-news coming out. So that's the first point. The second thing that is related to that is that because it will be done on Zoom, not everybody who even watches this midweek moment is comfortable with Zoom. Some people have phones rather than computer connections and all of that. Please let us know if that applies to you so that we can address all of the bits and pieces of technology to ensure that you can vote. You cannot vote absentee. That's not allowed by our bylaws. So just be aware that we want to make sure that you can vote and that however we need to do that, however we need to engage you in the annual meeting, you can do that. Speaking of Zoom, just a reminder, I know that there was an update for Zoom that came out earlier this week, so please go on to your computer or your phone or your tablet and update your Zoom client, just, standard update thing, so that in case there are changes, sometimes they can mess stuff up on Sunday mornings, and we don't want that to happen. Those are the big announcements, some of them not so big, certainly. I was going to close with the collect for St. Hilary. And unfortunately, I have lost it. So I will see if I can find it here really quickly, but I can't. So I will leave it there. Again, please join us, certainly for Compline this evening at 8:45, and then for worship on Sunday, and hang around and you'll hear some more about saints and how we choose them. It's been great to be with you. Continue to pray for our country as we work through these difficult times, especially what's going on in Washington today. And pray for our leaders and for our people, for all of those who are hurt and angry and are expressing that in ways that are problematic for many of us. Blessings with you all, my friends. I look forward to seeing you soon.